it is officially the time of the year where everyone is focused on reinventing themselves. And honestly, reinventing yourself in 2025 can be a really daunting task. But if you start early and if you start with small aspects and you go about the transition into the new year in a certain way, you will find that transforming into your highest self is actually a lot easier and simple than you think. I didn't really go into 2024 thinking that 2024 was going to be this huge year of growth and transformation. It was a really pivotal year for me. I graduated college and I moved back home and honestly went through a lot of different changes in this past year. Going into 2024 with the right intentions really helped me grow and transform in a way that even I couldn't foresee this time last year. I talk about this topic a lot on my podcast, disclaimers aside, but I wanted to bring it to YouTube just because I feel like growth, change, self-development is something we see a lot across all social media platforms. And sometimes I feel like the way that people present growth and change, especially when it comes to topics like the New Year's goals and all of those things, can feel a little bit convoluted, a little bit complicated, and just feel a little bit lofty. Sometimes I feel like it is hard to envision how you can change your life in such a short period of time. I wanted to share with you guys some of the simple and easy ways that I go about trying to become my highest self with every new year. I don't think you can really start on trying to transform who you are and becoming this new person without reflecting. You really do have to reflect on 2024 or whatever this past year was for you. Reflect on what went well, what didn't go well. What are the things in your life that you feel dissatisfied with? What are the things that you maybe tried to work on this year and somehow it didn't work out? What are your current priorities? It's not always realistic that the priorities that we have for our lives are going to be the same after 12 months of the year has passed by. What are your priorities now? How have they changed? And what are the things you want to focus on going into the new year? In the month of December and just like the end months of the year, usually the fall winter season, journaling is huge for me. There's so many different ways to go about journaling if traditional journaling is not for you, but I do think that even if you're not writing things down, taking the time to sit in silence and really reflect on this year is really, really important. And recognizing when your goals have maybe shifted because of a mindset shift or just different priorities in your life changing. One thing I really like to do is make a Pinterest board, which I know is very cliche. A lot of people like to make a vision board with an actual collage and they print out pictures or they'll grab magazines, but I personally really love Pinterest because it just brings me joy. Logging onto Pinterest is my daily boost of serotonin, and I feel like it's one of the few social media apps that I just don't have a toxic relationship with anymore. But I'm a really visual person, and I feel like Pinterest really does help bring all of the things that I'm thinking or feeling to a visual format. It's a lot easier for me to kind of create a visual representation of like the life that I want to create with every new year with apps like Pinterest. And you can literally create a board for anything. You can make it as niche as you want it to be, and you can make your boards private, which is another thing too. If you're worried about evil eye, or if you're worried about like how people are going to perceive you and you want to keep your goals or things that you want to change in your life private, you can make everything private. No one has to see it. It can literally just be for you. But I think creating a visual representation of what you want your life to look like is so important. When I was in college, one thing I used to love doing is every semester I would create a semester vision board for myself. I would put together a collage of pictures, things that I just wanted to happen each semester, and I would make like a collage and make that my desktop wallpaper so that every time I logged onto my laptop, I would see that vision board. And that was really helpful because that was a daily reinforcer. I was seeing it every single day of like, these are the goals, these are the things that I'm working towards, these are the things that I want to accomplish in this period of time, and just a constant daily reminder of what my goals are. Because I think a lot of the times we can set these goals, we can set these lofty goals at the beginning of the year or the beginning of the quarter, and then forget what we set, forget to check in on them, forget to continuously be working on them consistently over a long period of time. And then all of a sudden, by the end of that quarter or that year, it's like you set all of these lofty goals that you haven't even made any progress towards. But when you create that visual representation and you are constantly being exposed to that visual representation, you are constantly being reminded of what you're working towards and what your goals are. One thing that I think is so important before actually sitting down and writing a list of goals or resolutions or intentions, whatever you want to call it, for the new year, is making a list of your priorities. I don't think that you can really make a authentic list of goals without understanding what your life priorities are. After you've reflected on this past year and the things that you want to change in your life, what are the areas of your life that you want to focus on? I typically like to pick 3 to 4 areas of my life every year to focus on, and I really like to center and cater all my goals around those areas of my life. So in 2024, the areas that I wanted to focus on were school. This was just finishing off the year off strong, getting as high of a GPA as possible, studying for my LSAT, all of those things. Everything academic related, all of my goals were working towards that priority in my life. Second priority was religion, expanding my Islamic knowledge, becoming more disciplined and consistent with my prayers, really going full force during the month of Ramadan and just taking the most out of Ramadan and just working on my deen in general and all of the different aspects of that. Health and wellness, that was an area of my life that I really wanted to prioritize this year. Getting into a consistent workout routine, starting to just work on my nutrition and learn more about nutrition, learning how to cook, all of that. Those were the 3 areas that I really wanted to focus on this year. Once I had really tried to figure out like what are my main priorities of my life that I want to work on this year, it was a lot easier to tailor goals that were going to get me to a place in my life that I wanted to be at. It was going to be a lot easier to change my life, to transform my life and become the highest version of myself. When you envision your highest self, when you envision who you want to be, what are the things that you prioritize? What are the things that you're doing? What kind of person are you? What are the things that you take care of and that you're making sure to create time for? In general, I think it's so important to understand what your priorities in life are, no matter what stage of your life that you're in. Even when it comes down to making daily choices and daily decisions of like, I have a free weekend, what am I going to do with this weekend? Think back, what are the things that you prioritize and you find important in your life? I do think a lot of the times there can be a disconnect between what we prioritize or what we say we prioritize and what we actually spend our time in our lives doing. If you have X, Y, and Z priority, look at your Google Calendar. Does your Google Calendar reflect that? If not, you have to make some changes in your life to make sure that your calendar reflects that. The way you spend your time says a lot about who you are as a person. One of the things that I value is spending time with my family, spending time with the people that I love, my friends, my family. Am I spending time with my family on the regular, on the weekends? What am I doing? Is it spending time with my friends and family? If not, changes need to be made. With change, you have to make space in your life for these changes to come. You have to start being more disciplined with your time. And a big thing that I think helps to create space to bring in new things into your life is to set screen time limits. If you feel like you don't have enough time to have hobbies, to indulge in the things that bring you joy, to see the people that you love, to do all of these things, you're spending too much time on social media. We're all spending way too much time on social media. We're all spending too much time on our phones. It's not a revolutionary concept. We all know it, and yet we still do it because it's really hard. All of these apps are designed in a way that are addictive and make the experience addictive, and it's really hard to remove ourselves from it. I've been seeing a lot of just TikToks and stats about social media that have been really eye-opening for me and really pushing me to just want to set more limits on myself in terms of my own consumption, just because my social media consumption, just being on my phone in general, it's holding me back from whatever changes that I want to see in my life. It's holding me back from indulging in the things that bring me joy. It's holding me back from cultivating my hobbies. It doesn't bring any value, to be honest. Yes, it keeps us more connected. Yes, it can bring a little boost of serotonin. It helps us keep up with each other's lives and all of those things, but an hour a day is enough social media time. You don't need to be spending more than an hour a day consuming other people's content, consuming other people's lives. There was a stat that really shook me that was like the average person spends 20 years of their life on screens. 20 years of your life. That is insane. And it just gives you more context. Even if you are not the best with your screen time, just even being conscious of it, I think is so important. Even if you slip into the habit of like scrolling on TikTok or scrolling on Instagram, even just that thought of, wait, I've been on this app for a little bit too long. Let me just log off and do something IRL. That is important. Those reminders that setting screen time limits give you are so important, because they'll pull you out of this like cycle of constantly just waking up in the morning and the first thing you do is reaching out for your phone and scrolling for hours and hours and hours. For me personally, that's a bad habit that I have developed. There are certain times of the day where I just scroll, and it's like in the mornings when I wake up, at night before I go to bed, and a lot of the times too, just like at the gym in between sets. And sometimes you need a cleanse. I find that sometimes going on a little social media cleanse is important and needed to reset yourself. Right now I have logged out of my TikTok, my personal TikTok. I have just noticed the effects of how scrolling on TikTok has affected my attention span, and that is a really scary feeling. Social media has like a twofold effect. It removes us from living in reality, but it also just like affects the way that we experience things like serotonin and dopamine and things like our attention span. And so just taking necessary breaks is so important, at least until you can kind of reset your mind, gain a little bit of clarity back. And I think when you log out, you will realize how much time you actually have in your day. One of the things that I find helps is whenever I'm trying to make any change, whenever I'm trying to stop any habit, replacing that bad habit with a good one. If I have the urge to scroll on TikTok, instead of going on TikTok, I'll start listening to a podcast or I'll start reading a book. That way, in that moment, you train your brain to, instead of, oh, I'm bored, let me go reach for my phone to scroll, I'm gonna go pick up a book instead. It's definitely gonna be hard at first and you're gonna relapse. There are gonna be times where you are really good with it and then times where you fall back into it. And I think it's just important to just remember that when you fall off the horse, you just gotta start again. Speaking of social media, I do think an important thing to do every once in a while, but especially transitioning into the new year, is to clean out your following. Everyone says you are who you hang out with, you are who you associate yourself with. Tell me who your friends are and I'll tell you who you are. That's something my mom always says. But it's also the same for your following. Who are you following? Because those are the people whose lives you're consuming on a daily basis. Even if you're not friends IRL and you're just mutuals from when you went to school together or when you guys work together or whatnot, you are seeing their lives, you're seeing what they're posting on your feed every single day, and that informs your reality. And so it's important to clean out your following every once in a while, every quarter. Just go through your following. I need to do this myself because I have not done this in the longest time, and I've just gotten to a point where I feel like I follow so many different people from different stages of my life, following different creators and things too. But I do want to do this because I do think it's important to curate your feed, to curate what you're consuming on a daily basis. Like the times where you are spending time on social media, consuming other people's content, other people's lives, making sure that you're consuming things that are going to inspire you, that are going to motivate you, that are going to bring you joy, that are not going to put you in a dark place, in a negative place, or that is going to set you back in any way. It's always healthy to clean out your following. I think we all need to do it every once in a while. Build simple routines. This is so important. If you don't have a morning and a night routine, build a morning and a night routine and start off simple. You can start off by just building a routine of 3 steps, and then from there, as you get into the habit of doing those 3 things every morning and night, adding things to make your routines a little bit more complex. Once you have a morning and a night routine, build a workout routine. I think building routines are some of the most important things that you can build for yourself, because you're stacking all of these habits in a way that will allow you to consistently be working on those priorities that you set for your life. I haven't read Atomic Habits. I need to read it. I've heard so many great things, but one of the things that I heard that they talk about in Atomic Habits is this idea of habit stacking, which is layering habits one after another. So when you get up in the morning, if you're trying to get into a skincare routine, making sure to do your skincare, and at the same time maybe listening to a podcast or listening to an audiobook if you're trying to get into listening to podcasts or audiobooks. And then right after that, doing multiple habits at the same time, getting into the habit of doing a habit after another habit, like, will help you to consistently get into a cycle and a routine of doing certain things that you want to see more of in your life. I cannot stress the importance of having routines in your life. I love a good routine. My morning and my night routine definitely vary, but look at your priorities. Look at the things that you want to do in your life. If you feel like you don't have time to read, if you feel like you don't have time to meditate or pray, incorporate those things into your morning and night routines and make those things one of the top three things that you make time for in your life every single day. That is one thing where I do feel like being on social media has influenced me positively, because creating content forced me to really build a strong morning and night routine. It's like those old school YouTube like morning night routine videos that people used to film back in the day. I remember when I was in high school, I built my first morning routine, and I was like, okay, what are the things that I want to do every morning and every night, and so that I can film it and share it. And I've taken those things throughout the years, and they've been a consistent part of my routine. It's like making those habits a non-negotiable for yourself is so important. I'm not sure who said this. I think I heard it on a podcast, but someone said that confidence is built from making a promise to yourself and fulfilling it. Every single time you tell yourself, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do X, Y, and Z, and you do it, you are building self-confidence within yourself. That is a form of self-confidence that is internal rather than being external. All in all, I wish you guys all the best. This is a really fun and exciting time. Don't put too much pressure on yourself to completely reinvent yourself and transform who you are in the new year. I think if you focus on like even 3 small but simple and effective things in your life that you want to change, you will come out of this year a completely new person. And the most important thing when it comes to change is consistency. Change isn't going to happen overnight. Change is not always going to be drastic. I find sometimes the most profound types of change are actually gradual rather than being drastic. They're changes that are going to be more sustainable throughout your life and that you're going to stick to for the rest of your life. So just focus on that, focus on consistency. For me, what I really want out of 2025 is not only just becoming my highest self, but also becoming my most authentic self. Understanding truly who I am and really showing up as that person in every aspect of my life. A couple of days ago, I watched the Martha Stewart documentary on Netflix. It was such an amazing documentary. I recommend everyone go watch it. I think I want to record a podcast episode on all of my thoughts because I just have so much to say after that episode. But I think one of the biggest takeaways from watching that documentary and just seeing how she knows who she is and she authentically shows up as she is, unapologetically, is the importance of just curating your hobbies and making time in your life for the things that bring you joy outside of monetary gain or monetary success. It was just a reminder, I think, to listen to your inner child, to think back on the things that I used to make time for in my life, that I used to indulge in, like reading and art and all of those things, and just prioritize that in my life. I'm glad I watched it around this time of year because I think that is definitely something I'm going to prioritize in 2025, inshallah. But I wish you guys the best of luck. Happy early new year. Subscribe if you're not already subscribed, and I will see you guys in my next one. Bye.